I'll give you this bag. You go to the bedroom with me. You kind of like your kid there. That 12-year-old daughter you got. You want some heroin? You want some cocaine? Why don't you leave me alone with her for a while? We'll see what we can work out.
Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel again so soon. How did I know he was going to do this? As soon as I put a video out, he puts a video out. It seems to be a pattern. Every time I have no time to do it, anything about Paul, he has an upload spree, and then when I come back, it's like he gets very quiet again. And then I put a video out, and then almost like hours later, he'll have another video out. So I'm on you, Paul. Like, I've got time to do a few videos, so I'm going to keep pace. I'm going to try. Social services, friend or foe? Well, this is an old, we've heard about this like many times before, and I feel like I already know. I can probably distill it down pretty quickly. Is basically he wants social services to basically act as a lottery system. He wants to be reinstated to the quality of lifestyle that he enjoyed when he first moved to Michigan, or he got this loft apartment thingy that he had for a while, where he had like crazy noisy neighbors that drove him out. And I guess because he bugged the landlord so much about it that the landlord basically just deferred to them and said, you'll probably just need to move out. I'm happy to keep these tenants here, but you're like annoying me at this point. So, and I guess the police didn't really help him out in this case. They couldn't really do much about it. And yeah, he's forever had a bee in his bonnet about the Hennepin County Police. But anyway, in terms of social service, he views it as, well, if they can't restore me to the previous level of lifestyle that I enjoyed, then they're only keeping me alive long enough to die. Essentially, they're giving him pittance when he needs more. I'm guessing that's what he's going to say.
I've talked about drug dealers, drug addicts who are caught up in that quite a bit in these videos.
What?
It's time to explain how social services functions like a drug dealer. I need to let people out there know that over the last 6 weeks, about 6 weeks ago, I put out a video where I was absolutely desperate. I was in this car literally freezing to death, sub-zero temperatures. The police had told me they will arrest me if they see me driving this car, for example, to go 1 block away to get gasoline so that I can run a heater and survive. If I do that, I will get arrested. If I don't, I die of freezing. That's the kind of police we have to work with. That's the kind of police, public safety officers, homeless people have to rely on.
Yeah, the car doesn't run well. It's kind of unpredictable, like shift gears. It'll go from a crawl to like, 70 in like no time. And yeah, he's documented this. He said he's made videos about this where even had an old guy come up to him and basically tell him off because he was taking off from a stopped position in the car park and like menaced this guy because he couldn't control the Ford Fusion because it's a hunk of shit. And yeah, this guy got on him about it. And the only thing Paul really had to say about it was, oh, are you from Minnesota? Do you happen to be from Minnesota? Like, this guy was just a crotchety old man. No, you probably just nearly fucking sideblinded him. And yeah, he was pissed.
Why'd you just flip me off when I'm obviously having trouble with my car? Revving at 5,000 RPM.
You weren't moving. You were going 18 miles an hour.
Right, because it's revving up to 5,000.
I don't know that, do I?
You didn't hear the...
Did you have your flashers on saying I have a fucking problem? No, you didn't.
Oh, it's all me.
Did you?
Sir, you pulled out right behind me faster than I would have time to do that.
I disagree with you.
Were you born in Minnesota by any chance?
Yes.
Fraternal Order of Police. Certain professions function like a cult. Remember, my 30 years of experience studying cults. A cult mentality does not have to be a bad thing. We are a tribal species. That is actually normal. It's when a cult mentality overrides common sense, humanity, reason, and just human decency. That's when you get a problem. And things like police, stick together like glue, and they end up with a mindset where they have lost their humanity. And part of it is understandable.
Yeah, this guy has been an endless car park narc. He's like, I want to feel like and he calls in like anyone speeding, anyone doing drugs, anyone maybe prostituting. He's always calling the police about it, and he kind of slyly kind of made fun of the fact that I called the police right after this guy lit up or toked up or this guy flew off out of the car park. But so he endless narc, loves the system, loves to report people, but as soon as it's him in the spotlight, he's very much, I'm appealing to emotion and appealing to, be a decent human. Don't worry that I've like been breaking the law for weeks now, probably more than a month, with no insurance and no tags.
That is one reason why I have to withdraw my support for the police. I do not encourage defunding the police. We need police, but we need better police. The police, the concept of police in America, like so many things, like social services.
I guess he doesn't like the fact that they're young police officers, they're younger police officers than him, of course, and he's literally boomed out on them. It's the core of it is they don't have enough wisdom and life experience in the world to enforce the law on him. That's it. That's how that was his core takeaway.
Needs to be burned to the ground and rebuilt from the ground up. We don't need any more of these beach bullies who used to kick sand in people's faces and now they've got a badge and a gun and a taser. We don't need those people anymore. They got to go.
Yeah, according to his sister, he was heavily bullied in middle and high school, so that kind of resentment makes sense to me.
Our society cannot handle that anymore. When I sent my 50 existential threats to America to President Trump around 2017 or so, one of them was the police, and it was a dual problem. Half of it was people not respecting the police and not supporting the police. That was half of the problem. That's where the defunding the police and things like that, real stupidity comes in.
Sort of like you don't respect the police officer that pulled you over because he was a young gun, hopped up on his own, he was gassed up on his own, ego, and, he's got a badge and he doesn't have the wisdom or the knowledge that you have had over the years, apparently, allegedly, to enforce a law that you've broken.
The other half was the police themselves, because they're going to get people trying to defund them if they keep behaving like human monsters, if they keep behaving like a cult. I'm a homeless person with no money, no legal way to earn an income, sitting in a car freezing to death, and it's preferable to them if I die from starvation or freezing and exposure, a horrific, excruciatingly painful death. It is preferable to the police of Burnsville and everywhere, really, if I die that manner, than it is if I drive one block without car insurance to get gas so I can run heat when you got wind chills at 30, 40 below zero. Something is wrong with these people. Something is missing from their brains. It's like a lobotomy, and that's what a cult mentality does to you. When I moved to Minnesota 18 years ago, I was driving a conversion van. I had traded my sports car in for a conversion van.
Oh, yeah. He did drive a van. I thought this was like a goddamn fever dream of mine. Like, did I see footage of him in this, like, RV van? Am I correct in this knowledge? Like, or have I just misremembered? But no, he was, like, in this, Winnebago thing, and it was just like, oh, God, yeah, no. I don't know where the footage is. Like, I'm trying to find it, but yeah, I definitely saw it. So that wasn't something I was just, like, dreaming.
And I took a nice slow route so that I could see the sights. I took Route 66, and I stopped everywhere. The Grand Canyon. I'd been to Vegas so many times I didn't bother with Vegas again. Meteor Crater. I slept outside Meteor Crater in the van. It's very, very cold there in Arizona, the desert. I went to Roswell, New Mexico. I went to all these cool places. And one of the places I wanted to go to was Shamrock, Texas, home of the Donegal Beard Contest. Shamrock, Texas was a thriving little community until they moved Route 66 only a half a mile away, and that killed the entire town. When I got to Shamrock, it was a bunch of boarded up businesses. That was Shamrock, Texas. It looked like Sacramento, California, the capital city of California when I lived there. You went downtown to the downtown area. Imagine going down to Manhattan and seeing all the businesses, these banks and investment firms all boarded up. That's what Sacramento, California looked like. California's got some problems. It's run by people who don't know what they're doing. To get to Shamrock, Texas, I had to drive through Texas. But I only had to drive through that little itty-bitty spot through the panhandle of Texas. Didn't take long to get from New Mexico after coming out of Albuquerque to go up into Oklahoma and go north to Oklahoma City to see the memorial there where the Murrah Federal Building used to be, and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Of course, his one stop in Oklahoma is basically the Timmy McVeigh project.
At the time, I was doing my third podcast. Remember, I was one of the original podcasters when podcasting came out. I was doing my third podcast, and they didn't have live.
I mean, so if that was 18 years ago, I want to say, what, 2008? 2007? Yeah, no, I feel like I was listening to podcasts like maybe 2002, 2003. Like proto-podcast. Like, I don't think it was actually called podcast, but it was just more of a like a break off of like long form radio.
Live streaming back then. So I recorded the podcast as I was driving, and I would use my camera and film things. So like I remember especially struck me when I went through Winslow, Arizona, because of that Eagle song, Take It Easy, where they sing about traveling through Winslow, Arizona. And it was just a small town. I was really shocked. I mean, if it was that small in 2007, imagine what it was in the 70s when they wrote that song. You just drive through the highway, and on either side of you, down below, you've got this relatively small town, a Walmart, and that's Winslow, Arizona. So I'm filming these things, and I'm put it all together, and then I would upload it as a podcast with video. And one thing I said before I even left California was, based on everything I've heard, because remember, I've traveled the country, and I talk to people, and I listen to people, and I learn about regions.
Do you still have that footage, Paul? Can you like put it up? It's like it can't be a coincidence that I was talking about this van, and then now you're talking about this van.
And how things work. I said, it is a certainty that I'm going to get pulled over by the police when I travel through Texas. If they're there and they see me in that little spot when I'm driving through, I will get pulled over. And the reason is because I was driving a van, and it had California plates on it. Not because I was going to do anything wrong. I obey the law. But I was going to get pulled over. And I told everyone at the beginning of this thing on my podcast, I'm going to get pulled over in Texas. I hadn't been pulled over since I was 19 before that. And that was a speed trap. And everyone in my little town knew it. That cop had never been seen before. He was never seen after that. It was a speed trap. After that, to my knowledge, the next time I got pulled over was about a month and a half ago, when the Burnsville police pulled me over for not having tags. That's the kind of driver I am. I don't cost my car insurance company money. They doubled my car insurance rate over the last few years, from $74 to $140, so that I can pay for everyone else who's getting their cars stolen and carjacked down in Minneapolis, because Governor Walz does nothing about lawbreakers in the state. It's a lawless state. Another one of my 50 existential threats, lawlessness.
Has he gone back to like? Is he basically the governor again? Like, what happened to that dude?
When I travel through Texas, I'm driving my van, and I look, and I see state police coming up behind me. They pull up next to me, and they just sit there right next to me. There's two guys in one car. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Remember, one of the main causes of fatalities and crashes, injuries, is driver distraction. One thing that causes that distraction is tailgating, like the Burnsville police did to me when they tailgated me, and they had me so nervous and scared that I was actually trying to find a way to turn the opposite direction of where I wanted to go, to drive more without car insurance, just to avoid the danger posed by this tailgater, who turned out...
Yeah, so you're trying to outrun the police because you know you're sweating bullets, because you're dead to rights, because you don't have tags or insurance in your car. You're driving it illegally. That's why you are like possibly trying to lose them.
to be a cop. Driver distraction, one of the main causes of death in vehicles. The police stalking...
So in his mind, he's completely justified. He just explained that away, and that's perfectly rational in his mind. It's like, yeah, no, I was scared for my life. He was tailgating me, and that's the second biggest cause of driver distraction.
like this is another one. It's distracting. It puts me and everyone else on that road at risk.
Oh,
I wasn't doing anything
shut
wrong.
up.
I'm in the right-hand lane, driving the speed limit. My vehicle's just fine. And I said, I'm not going to sit here and put myself at risk. If I can get away from these clowns, I'm going to. I need gas. I'm getting off at the next place and get some gas. And I did.
I mean, it's very much like core Paul. Paul Call really is basically he will tell you a story, but it's not all that he tells you. Like, you know, so he's told this story already, but he's literally saying he's trying to lose the police. He's trying to get away from them. Of course, they're going to pull you over.
I did. So I get there, I turn off onto the off-ramp, I get off, and these police actually, like, I don't know, slammed on the brakes or whatever, and they drive over the median for the off-ramp, and they follow me and they pull me over. They pulled me over. And they said it was because I didn't use my turn signal. Which is interesting because they're right next to me on my left, and I was turning right. They couldn't see a turn signal in any event. The other interesting thing was, if you remember, I was doing a podcast. I was recording the whole time. And in the recording, you clearly hear me turn on my turn signal.
So you're an illegal you're illegally driving this vehicle that probably wouldn't pass a vehicle inspection. It's too unpredictable. It's too shot. Plus, you are recording a podcast. You're like trying to maneuver cameras and stuff like that, which he was. And they're at fault. Like, this is not illegal. This is not completely out of control.
As I turned off of there, and then you hear the siren getting pulled over. These guys lied. These are police officers. They get away with that because they are a cult. They behave like a cult. Not a tribe, but a cult. They think that's acceptable to pull.
I'm not a police booster, but I absolutely believe that because the car is malfunctioning. The battery is like nearly dead. Like he's railed on this about he got a new battery from someone, but because he runs it so extensively, it cuts out, it shorts out, he's had all sorts of problems. And it was similar with the Cougar. He has all sorts of problems because he runs these cars to exhaustion. And yeah, I would have to think that maybe there is a internal malfunction between some of the wiring in the car, or maybe the battery is giving up the ghost. And yeah, maybe your blinkers are not effective.
Pull over somebody who did absolutely nothing wrong. They took me out of my van and put me in their car and said things like, you could fit a lot of drugs in that van, couldn't you? Talking to someone who had fought against the drug epidemic his whole life. How humiliating that is.
Yeah, Paul, he doesn't really fit the description, does he? Like, there's nothing about Paul that says drug dealer, so I wonder if he's spicing up the story here.
That is shameful behavior from the police, but that's how cults function. So that's when I've been pulled over. A speed trap from a cop who travels to a town he really shouldn't even be in on a sleepy Sunday morning when there's no traffic whatsoever, pulls over a 19-year-old who knows that town like the back of his hand in this little strip between a 25-mile-an-hour sign and 1/64th of a mile later there's a sign for 35 miles an hour, and he pulls me over there. 40 years, however long, 25 years later, I get pulled over in Texas because I'm driving a van with California plates. I didn't do anything wrong. 20 years later, I get pulled over in Burnsville by a cop who's tailgating me, putting everybody at risk because I don't have plates. When I have a video here of me going into the DMV and asking them, do you have any programs to help people in my situation? I need to renew my plates. I did everything imaginable to renew my plates. I sold off everything I had acquired over a lifetime to pay car insurance until there was nothing left to sell. These people have cult mentalities. It's like they've had a lobotomy. They're missing crucial things that human beings have to have. That's what we have to depend on as homeless people. You don't. You don't encounter that much. If you're a rotten driver, you might get pulled over a lot and have to deal with them.
Yeah, it's like regimented about enforcing laws and making sure the system is upheld. And then when it's him in the spotlight, it's basically, I'm going to appeal to emotion and like you're inhuman monsters if you can't, acquiesce to my demands of letting me drive this car illegally. Let's let it go, bro. Just let it go. It's not an issue. For Paul.
But generally speaking, if you obey the law and if you don't look like you're a homeless person, they're not going to mess with you. Another group that has a cult mentality that has gotten totally out of control is social services. Whether it's through the government, direct government agencies, HUD, things like that, or food stamp systems, things like that, or these hybrids or private social services that in some way or other have to depend on the government. A cult mentality has developed among them. And remember, a cult, by my definition of a cult, having studied it for 30 years, it comes down to when people willfully abdicate their ability to think critically in favor of blindly accepting some dogma.
No. It's when he does that, think critically, he taps on his head. It's more along the lines of they do not sufficiently help him in the ways he wants to be helped. Very specific and like Paul-orientated ways to help him. Thus, the system is broken. It's a cult mentality. It's like another form of control. And it's not tailored for every individual. It's a very generalized service. Like they will try to individually help you best they can. You have Brianna, but they can't give you like a lottery service where they will set you up with everything you could possibly ever want. Thus, I think he said something like, give him enough to go back to like a standard of living as a one-off payment. Something to that effect, where he wanted like some one-off payment that would get him back into the fast lane, like career-wise, lifestyle-wise, everything like that. And then he'll be out of the system. But it was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, do you know how much like fraud and waste would go into that sort of system? I don't think Elon Musk would like that at Doge.
Or answer that's just handed to them on a silver platter. For example, a cult leader telling them the way it is. They abdicate the responsibility to use their brain. They're using heuristics. Oh, this is a van. It has California plates. It must be running immigrants. It must be running drugs. We need to look at this. It isn't just a person moving across country from California to somewhere else, driving through Texas, and they got a van so that they could fit some stuff in there, like a drum set, which is what I had back there. They abdicate their ability to think critically. And they cause a lot of harm because of that. Social services does the same thing. Back around Christmas, I had gone in to see Brianna, that social worker I've worked with, who has been very kind to me, and she's done what she can for me. In many ways above and beyond the call of duty. She's been great. And she offered me...
Yeah, you do little snide remarks here and there about like they're not doing enough for you to live your life past tomorrow. They're only doing enough to keep you alive through the night. Like everything she's doing, you've made little snide quips of, well, it's enough, but not good enough. Enough for the moment, but not good enough long term.
This a program they have for, depending on how you hear it, either 3 months in a hotel or up to 3 months in a hotel. Wasn't quite clear, but it didn't matter because when she showed me the sheer amount of paperwork...
Yeah, it's the dumbest, possibly the most useless excuse he's come up with lately is just they want to sell on his data, his metadata, to nefarious third-party actors who will sell that data on, and it's all part of this weird kickback slush fund thingy to get the same politicians back in office in order to perpetuate the system that keeps him down and locked in this like endless cycle. I think that's his read on it.
Work you have to sign just to take that. And the paperwork has me authorizing almost every agency in the Minnesota government to share my personal information between them. For me to put for one stay in a hotel, to put my name in that many databases is all but guaranteeing I will never have a professional job again. Because those background checks, like it or not, believe it or not, they grab that stuff. And because something like human resources functions like a cult as well, if they see someone, oh my gosh, look how many interactions this person has with social services. They must be poor. They must be homeless. They must be subhuman. We don't want to hire them.
Or he was like a sexual deviant and harasser at his previous job. Maybe we don't want to hire him. Maybe it's good we have these background checks. Like, possibly. It's nothing that you're mentioning, though. It's like that's complete bullshit.
And I told Brianna no on certain terms, I want nothing to do with this. I want absolutely nothing to do with this. And another reason was because they have demands. They treat you like a child. If you want to stay in this hotel, here's what you got to do. Follow our rules. Now, I understand certain rules. That's fine if they're rational. Don't do drugs in the hotel. Don't bring prostitutes in there. Don't bring other people in there to stay in the hotel, etc. I get that. But there's a lot of rules. And a grown
Yeah, it's. I've had brief conversations with his sister, and this is the mentality she was talking about. Was he is so stubborn and he is so hard-headed, and he's like wanting to be this like free, independent spirit, but it's not real independence. It's just petulance. It's just him throwing a tantrum. He wants to throw a spanner in the works, and yeah, this is the mentality. This is what you deal with when you get pulled.
adult doesn't need that, especially when they're in a desperate situation, and they need as much freedom as they can conceivably have to look at every option to find a solution to their problem. Any ball and chain that is put on them hurts them. It can catastrophically hurt them. They need freedom more than anybody because they've got nothing else. And social service.
They would probably just have some sort of night curfew where you can't be coming and going all night long doing drugs and doing random bullshit. Outside of that, I don't think that sort of. They're not putting balls in chains. You can go outside your hotel door, get in your car, go down to the local job service agent, and sign on. But yeah, Paul is just trying to misdirect. He's trying to like distract you away from the real thing.
This takes that freedom away when you sign your name to those documents. I told Brianna, no, want nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
When I put out that video where I was freezing to death, and I was, and I was terrified. And I just encountered the police, the day before, 2 days before, who told me they're going to arrest me if they see me drive my car. So even though I can see that gas station right over there where I could get gas, although at the time I didn't have money, so I really couldn't do that either. But if I could get gas in the car, I could run the heater and survive that sub-zero temperature. Social services saw that video because I posted that in various places I normally don't. And I posted it for the Burnsville police so they can see what they're doing to people. It doesn't register with them, though, because they are a cult mentality. Fraternal order of police, like a fraternity. They function like a cult. They don't even comprehend or care. Oh, gee, what I did to this guy the other day wasn't in the interest of public safety. This is
No, it's just like, allow me to break the law. Just allow me to break the law.
the guy who's been pulled over 3 times in his life. Once in a speed trap, another time for no reason.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter. I can't go out tomorrow. I've been pulled over numerous times, so I'm a bad example, but I just like, say, my partner. I don't think she's ever been pulled over. I don't think she's ever had any stories of being pulled over by the police. But tomorrow, she might have her license or insurance, her registration isn't up, and goes out. It's possible she would get pulled over, and would she come back and say, it's cult mentality, that they're just out to get me, this is some bullshit. I don't think so.
No reason whatsoever, and this time, because he doesn't have tags. And this is after he and social services had researched whether or not the police pull you over for having expired tags, and everything we saw said, no, they don't pull you over for having expired tags. So why did that guy pull me over after tailgating me? Was it because I was homeless? I don't know.
No, your lights, like your blinkers were out, dude. And I can absolutely believe that would be the case.
But it seems a little odd. This guy is not a threat. This is not a guy who causes accidents. This is a guy who pays everyone else's car insurance. Because he doesn't need it. He's a good driver. Now, anyone can make a mistake and cause an accident, yes. If that happens and I don't have insurance, I'm going to have to deal.
Which you fucking nearly did the other day. This old guy was, he pulled out of some Walmart car park or a Verizon car park, and because the car's so unpredictable, it went from like a stop to a like going 70, 80, and he was menacing this old guy, and this old guy like completely lost his shit at him. And he was like, oh, you must be from Minnesota. That's why you're so cranky.
Deal with it at that point. But I have to do what I have to do and what I can do to survive.
Yeah, you will, and you do, and you often do, to your own detriment.
Police don't care about that. They don't understand. It means nothing to them. And they'll sit there and say, that's the law. Well, if that's the law, then why aren't you going after any of these drug addicts? Why aren't you going after American Musical's play who's committing murder? Why aren't you going after any of these race cars out there who are driving the wrong way down the road? Why aren't they going after anybody? Why didn't they go after my neighbors who were allowed to go home in the first place when they were breaking the law? Why didn't they go after my landlord when he broke the law with a constructive eviction?
Yeah, if it all comes down to something, at least with the Minnesota portion of his life, everything around this like eviction and this noisy neighbor was the genesis of a lot of his misgivings towards Minnesota.
I've never had the police ever go after someone who broke the law in 18 years being here. So why did they go after me? When that's what I did, drove with expired tags. A block, one block. Social services.
I don't know if I'll ever be able to find the clip because it's just too random of a clip. But there was a guy, so he would always complain that he was outside like a Lowe's or a Home Depot or something, whatever the case would be. And I guess teenagers and young people would come in with their Nissan GTRs or whatever, and just like tear it up in the car park, just going crazy. And he was like so pissed off about that he called the cops. And yeah, and he was like kind of chuckling under his breath about it. And within the same clip, he shows the cops turning up. I don't think they got them, but they did attend. So yeah, they attended. You called the cops. They tried to serve justice.
Saw that video where I was terrified that that was the night I was going to die. I was just going to freeze to death right there. They went out and they found me. They sent a couple people looking for me, and they found me indoors at the library after that. And they sent a new person I hadn't met before, and this person, with very high pressure and not giving me any time to think about it, pressured me to, if you can believe it, it's 3 in the morning, and I've got somebody right in front of my car. If you can even fathom such a thing.
Oh.
A dark-hooded figure right in front of my car at 3 in the morning. And they give me the high pressure to help me by offering this hotel thing again. Again, I was never perfectly clear on what it was. I had heard 3 months in a hotel.
Is he? I can't really tell. He might be back in Burnsville if he's near this library, because there's like, what is he? A janitor? He's some janitor who's just, unfortunately, it's a lot of what I've always thought about these people who try to like move Paul on. They do like these little tactics of, like this dude with the phone there. He might be trying to spook him out of like this car park and get him gone. And anyway, it was this janitor, and he was like, he went super Karen. He went into the library and he was doing a grand inquisition about like who told him to do this, because I think one of the bosses there basically instructed the janitor to, on the low, possibly kind of like uproot some of these long-term homeless people who are just hanging out in the car park all the time. And Paul was caught up in this, and he took grand exception to it and wanted him to possibly be fired. This like lowly janitor just trying to get on with his life.
What department? If you're gonna jack me off like that, you tell me what department you're in.
Look, you guys make my job harder.
Who are you?
I work for Dakota
What is
County.
your job?
I'm a janitor.
Turns out it's something a little different. I didn't have time to think, and the fact is I wasn't looking forward to going back into that cold that night. So I went for it. And I went with them to this hotel. The only way the car wouldn't even run. When I tried to run it and tried to put it in reverse, it wouldn't even go into reverse. The transmission's so dead. It took the longest time of me revving the engine and just doing everything I could, pouring fluid in there. It never really worked right at all. And it hasn't worked since, at all. It's been undrivable ever since. Can't drive it one bit at all. And now all the fluids are gone. But at the time, we did it as a caravan with one of these social service people in front of me, one of them behind me, to try to thwart the police, so I could drive the, not terribly far from the library to get to this hotel. And we come here, and they put me up in this hotel. And that's where I've been for the last 6 weeks. The reason I'm doing these films in...
Everything he doesn't tell you, everything he doesn't say, everything he does not tell you. He has been carrying on a bloody facade like he is living in this car all the time. But no one really believes it. Like, I think everyone is under the understanding that, there's no way he's still living in this car. He did one hard night of near freezing conditions, and he punched out. He tapped out. It's not a huge revelation to me, but it confirms it. It confirms a lot of what people have had suspicions about. A lot of people thought he was in the shelter.
Inside the car since then is twofold. First of all, I don't want to be talking about these things in these thin-walled rooms.
I did a video the other day. It's like yesterday, basically, there was one comment, and he basically outlined, he uses this car as a husk to do, this is his studio. So he dips from the hotel, comes out here, does the dumb video, and all that fucking theatrics. Yet he can pop back out and go straight back into his hotel. This is why you don't support this guy. This is why this guy should get no help. This is why he is a fake homeless guy. It's just lies, deceit, misdirection, distraction. It's just everything he does. It's just completely detestable. Yeah.
I don't want to be doing that. But also, don't forget, I've got these creepy, crazy stalkers out there, especially that really
shut
mentally
up.
ill one who's been obsessed with me for 6-7 years now. And I'm not really interested in...
That's the... who is he? He's the human rights lawyer or some sort of human rights advocate in sort of South Minneapolis area that he rang one day talking about some sort of something Tim Waltz was doing to him, and it was inhumane and it was Holocaust level, and this guy apparently lit him up and just laughed at him, and he's always held the story that from there on, after that phone call, this guy literally stalks him.
And that person showing up here and having me for dinner.
What?
Eat my liver with some Farber beans and a nice bottle of Chianti.
Oh, I knew he would do.
Because that's the kind of nut job you're dealing with. Someone who stalks a homeless person online who has a channel that gets 300 views per video for 6 or 7 years. This is a nutcase.
This isn't me. Like, some people go, oh, he's talking about you. It is not me. It's this other guy.
Only one of them. These are the kinds of people I have to deal with. So I didn't immediately post any notice that I was in the hotel for the last 6 weeks. That's the reason why, to try to protect my safety. Because
he suspected every time he uploaded a video, there was always one downvote or thumbs down ready to go at a moment's notice. And he had this idea that he was literally this human rights lawyer or wherever he was, this online stalker, was basically waiting and refreshing his page every second to get the first down vote or thumbs down on his video.
And sister, I'm telling you right now, if that lunatic showed up here to try to eat my skin, this creepy weirdo, these police aren't going to do anything about it. I've never seen them enforce the law yet, except when they pull me over for having expired tags. So I've been in the hotel for the last 6 weeks. Now, that may sound like a great thing, and the fact is, when it comes to dealing with this extreme cold we've had, sub-zero temperatures for weeks on end, yes, it is a godsend.
Who's paying for that? Who pays for that, Paul? Any guesses? Not you. Certainly not you. It's the fellow tax-paying, hard-working Minnesota people who are fucking saving your ass. But obviously, it's not good enough. Never be good enough.
You could argue it's a miracle of sorts. It is a great and wonderful thing. I am grateful. I get on my knees and I thank God for it.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Even within these 6 weeks, you've been fucking, pissing and moaning about this and like snidely taking shots at your clear benefactors, the people who are literally saving your life.
I'm grateful. And I'm not one to look the gift horse in the mouth. I'm not one to sit there and say, well,
yes,
someone gave me
you are. Yes, you do. You do this all the time. You question, you're skeptical of everything that's trying to help you.
Magnificent gift. I'm going to go look for all the problems I can find with it. That's not what I'm doing. The problem is, the number of strings attached to this gift are debilitating.
The gift.
This is how social services functions. Remember, my impression from talking to Brianna was that this was for 3 months, which is a fair amount of time to try to get your thoughts, collect your thoughts, convalesce.
Collect your thoughts. You're not meant to collect your thoughts. You're meant to get your shit together and get out of this situation. It's not really meant to be a grand meditation where you take your time to painstakingly analyze the last 18 years of your life. It's meant to be every day you hit the canvas, you start walking, job center here, outreach program there, something with that would connect you into getting a new job. That is essentially the crux of it, is to get you focused on getting out of the system. But I don't think Paul has done any of that. He's just probably, watching random dumb fucking YouTube videos all day and then waiting for moments to come out to the car to make the videos.
After being in a car for a year, sitting in a seat like this, to try to heal physically, emotionally, psychologically, and start doing something productive if there's anything productive that can be done, which in my case, ultimately, there isn't. But it doesn't mean I can't do anything.
So there's confirmation he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything.
Things I can do, and I've done them. I've been on the phone, not just with the House Committee, the Employment Committee, about employment at will and regulating human resources, but I've gone to the Senate.
So he's trying to break up the bureaucracy and the criminal aspects of the system. That he's not focused in the right direction, because any idea of him actually getting back to a functional state again, where he's, you know, self-reliant and independent, truly independent, is over. He's just getting into the nitty-gritty of, you know, reforming all these agencies and services and breaking through, you know, all the backroom deals and you know, sleazy politicians trying to get themselves re-elected.
Senate committee as well on labor. Now that I have this phone, so I can
Got a
get some things
phone?
done. Now a different person runs this hotel aspect, and this person, it's not them, it's the whole social services.
When is it coming? Like, when is he going to start bagging the hotel? Because, yeah, I guess he, in a previous life, he was some sort of hotel manager, possibly a bellboy. He was probably a bellboy, and he just gets so irate by dingy little motels and hotels that he can't stand staying in. He just keeps getting put in all these hotels because people keep putting him in these hotels over the years, on, you know, complete charity, and yeah, he's endlessly bitchy about it.
First things first, let me show you the paperwork I had to sign to get into this hotel. And this was desperation. This was to save my life. If it wasn't to save my life, I would not have taken the hotel. This is all the paperwork. I had to sign 13 pages,
Man.
6 signatures.
It's like kind of it's the thickness you can put underneath your chest, and if you're going to get shot, well, there's no way the bullet won't penetrate that. Look how thick that is. Oh,
And this thing lists
what?
one Minnesota agency after another. Just agency, all of which get my personal information because I signed my name to this. Which will prevent me from never having an executive position ever again. Ever. It won't happen ever again because I signed my name there. Don't forget, I was in computer science. I know what is done with data. And to have all these ignorant people who were not in computer science try to tell me, well, it's all private, you blah, blah. That's not the way the world works. That might be the way you think it is, but it isn't the way it actually works. Your personal information is all over the place. And because we live in a law...
I would just like to say, if anyone involved with these social services and outreach programs that are trying to help him, God bless. Like, I know you're probably very frustrated and very angry and just like throw up your hands half the time dealing with this fucking ingrate, but personally, I would like to say thank you. You are dealing with a man baby after all. So personally, thank you, and you do a good job.
All society, even though it may be illegal, it happens all the time and nobody does anything about it. Ever. Another problem with human resources. They're sleaze. They're nosy. They want to learn things about you and make inferences without actually meeting you, even from 1,200 miles away. They see a bunch of paper and they think they know who you are. They can decide whether you get to live or die, whether you get to have a job or not.
Oh, it's so weird. He's barely mentioned the whole AMS thing yet. Sometimes he gets off on other tangents. He goes far away on other tangents, and then he kind of like weirdly comes back to the core issue of the day.
Social services basically does the same thing, but they do it right in your face. And that's the amazing thing. What kind of a cult mentality can make you overcome what you're seeing in a person who is as close to you as this camera is to me? That's an incredible cult mentality that can twist your mind to think that that makes rational sense. That in order to get a hotel so that I don't freeze to death, I have to sign all that paperwork, give up ever having an executive position again, and probably give up ever having a professional job again. Because now that that's in their system, I can't do anything about it.
Well, McDonald's is hiring, Paul. Start from the bottom and work your way up. How about that? There's a challenge.
They have little clauses saying, well, you have the legal right to cross this off and have them. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. I was in computer science. I know how these things work. To my shame, I'm one of the people who helped develop these things, not knowing what it was going to be used for. Remember that film from the 80s, Real Genius, with Val Kilmer? That really great film? That's what that was about. That was about the school with these people who were very, very good academically. And they were working on a laser system, trying to push the limits of laser technology. What they didn't know is that they were building a weapon.
So you built the system that basically enables companies to like data scrape all this stuff and then sell it on to fucking Indian scammers. If you're involved with that, Paul, I might come to Minnesota and beat the fuck out of you, because I get a lot of Indian scammers lately.
To kill. That's what I was doing in computer science, and that's why I left computer science and left graduate school. And to have somebody who didn't go through all of that just tell me, well, they can't share your personal information.
Is that why you left, Paul? Is that why? Or could you not cut it?
I don't need to hear that. I know what actually happens in the real world. I don't need ignorant people telling me, an expert on this, what is going on. These
can't tell this guy anything. Just won't hear it.
Data breaches wouldn't even be an issue. They wouldn't be newsworthy if this information wasn't being transmitted in ways that it shouldn't be. Being in this hotel. Wow. Before that, let me just go over something here. From talking to different people in social services and...
Oh yeah, he's got the script. So the computer went to sleep and he was like, line.
Talking to homeless people, talking to poor people who have experienced homelessness or their family has experienced homelessness. I have both confirmed and
He's talked to a handful of people over the years, and I guess like some of the conversations were probably imposed on him. But for the most part, he can't stand fucking homeless people. Like true homeless people, if you got Boxcar Willie or Smelly Jim, you know, come up to him, he'd be like, "You're a weirdo stalker."
unconfirmed reports that are really shocking. A lot of them. A
Unconfirmed.
couple examples. This one's unconfirmed, but it came from Brianna, so I tend to believe it.
Oh,
An 80-year-old woman who lived in her car. The Egan police, which is just east of Burnsville, the Egan police impounded her car. An 80-year-old woman who lives in a car. You tell me these police do not have a cult mentality, that they have not abdicated their humanity in favor of the dogma that the Fraternal Order of Police hands to them. These people have lost their...
Yeah, but the scenario here is that they've impounded it, but also they've given her a lot of like resources and possibly, you know, like a hotel situation where she can now go and live in a hotel or a shelter, proper, you know, adequate heating, maybe some meals a day, and she can get back on her feet and possibly get the car back. Possibly. She's probably been more proactive at 80 than you are at 57, Paul.
humanity. They are a danger to society, not public safety. An 80-year-old woman. What kind of a nut job deprives an 80-year-old woman of the car she lives in, let alone a 57-year-old man? What kind of a nut job does that? And I don't care if they have a badge or a gun or a taser. Speaking of tasers, how about the 15-year-old kid who was homeless and starving and went dumpster diving in restaurant dumpsters and the police came up and tased him? A 15-year-old kid looking for food to survive. That's Minnesota police. I didn't see it reported on KARE 11, though, or Fox 9. How about that? I wonder why. What about the people who told me that they were told by Minnesota state government that they must sell off all of their possessions so that they have nothing but the shirt on their back before they're eligible for certain benefits? I wonder if the people who imposed that rule on them would like to lose all of their possessions.
You know, it's like a problem in this country. There's like a lot of asset-rich people who, like, it's like a boomer thing where they've got 3 properties, but they want a state pension. So they've done really well in their life. But I guess the law is something along the lines of, if you basically have everything tied up in maybe one asset, one house, this is like your only house, and it's all like very asset rich. So you're like your liquid cash. I mean, a lot of these boomers do store cash too, so they probably have like a mound under their bed, but also they want to be on the state pension. So the pension that's like for for older retirees that just don't have any money left. It's just circumstances in their life has led them to it. But some of these, you know, incredulous boomers have like worked out, well, the law says I just need to sink everything into assets and into maybe one property, have no real like savings in my account, but I probably have a lot of cash stored somewhere. And I can probably get on to the government teat too. I can actually get a reoccurring payment every week from the state. It's disgusting.
I don't think so. They're hypocrites. And for 10 years, of course, I've heard horror story after horror story. I can't count how many horror stories. People who went into housing, real housing from social services, and almost uniformly they describe this as a prison. Chock full of rules. One of the rules in one of these things is that you can't be in your own home during certain hours of the day. Well, what's the point of having a home and paying for a home if you're not even allowed to be in there for a certain number of hours a day?
Yeah, well, look, it's not really your home, Paul, and there's a very good reason for that. Is basically they need to go in there and possibly do deep cleaning every night, or like maintain these units or maintain the property to an extent that we can't just allow you to go trash the fucking place. It's not. I'm not saying it's going to be you, but possibly, or someone else. I'm saying there are people who just don't give a shit. They will just break, steal. Like, I was watching something the other day. Like, it was for reformed, like people out of prison who have just come out, and they're trying to reform them. They're trying to give them somewhere to like stabilize their life. But this guy used to get all these TVs from like random places and charities and stuff, and put them in the rooms, and within hours they were always gone. They would just always hawk them. They would always just take them out, steal them, and anything that was like he couldn't lock down to a surface, they'd steal. So it's that kind of like thing where they do need to check these rooms and try to keep it in a livable state. It's not so much that they want to control you. They want to like make sure they can just pull the strings arbitrarily. It's not what it's about. But Paul doesn't see it. He is aware of it, but he just wants to tell the story like this.
This is lunacy.
Lunacy.
How is that person supposed, with that kind of a ball and chain, how are they supposed to progress and get anything done? This is designed to keep you locked into social services for the rest of your life so that social services has a job. And they can take the money they get from government and kick some of it back in the form of campaign contributions to those legislators who gave them the money. It's called criminal racketeering. And perhaps more than anything else, when they put all these rules on people and they do these vicious things to people, they are showing you, they're demonstrating their contempt for other people. They're not there to help other people. They think so little of you. They think so low of you. You're just a dumb subhuman. You're not someone who was attacked by your employer, like someone who's just sitting on a subway and they get set on fire. That's what American Musical Supply did to me. They essentially set this homeless guy on fire, just killed him. I was attacked in a crime, a hate crime, and I have no family to back me up. If I had
So he gets stabbed, he gets beaten, he gets shot. He gets shot a lot. He gets strangled, he gets his eyes gouged out. And now they're setting him. Oh, and he gets hit by H-bombs.
Great.
And they're also setting him on fire, metaphorically, like in a matter of speaking. And people like wonder why no one understands what the hell he's talking about.
Family, I never would have been homeless in the first place, ever. It wouldn't have happened. So I'm being punished because I have no family. But what's their attitude? No, you're homeless. You must be lazy,
You have
mentally ill.
I mean, I'm beating a dead horse, but you have family just cross state lines, you dumb fuck.
Have a disability, be on drugs. You must be, because you wouldn't be homeless otherwise. Forget the hurricane that blew down your house. Forget the tornado that wiped out your residence. Forget that divorce where she got everything, and you have to work while you're homeless to
She?
pay child support. And you have to remain homeless because of the child support. And the woman gets everything she wants. Forget all that.
Yeah, he's got such like an anti-women bent to him. Like he does get really worked up. I think he was definitely like listening to a lot of, what is his name, Hammerhand, or like MGTOW kind of like creators at one point, where you can see the influence in these videos where he's like, yeah, he's just F women.
Forget all the reasons that people become homeless that have nothing to do with drugs, mental illness, laziness, etc. These people look down on us, including social services. They do not give us credit for being sovereign human beings who may actually know what we're doing. The problem is we have no resources, we have no family support.
No. Like it's you have a long history. Like financially, you are a wreck. You're a nightmare to be around. Like you have sunk so much money into random bullshit storage lockers, musical equipment that is just not holding its value, that might not even be that great to begin with. Like a lot of people are telling me now, like all this musical equipment that he's bought is just junk. It's just not worth it, and it's not going to hold any value. I was always under the impression it's like surely something he has is going to really be a money spinner. No, and yeah, he's just financially, like in terms of independence, like you need someone arranging your affairs. You need a third party to come in and possibly manage your money.
And we have all these balls and chains put on us. The hotel, and again, I want to make it clear, I am grateful beyond imagination to be in this hotel. But you gotta be realistic about it. One benefit of living in the car versus a hotel. Remember, right before I got fired, I spent 13 months paying $25,000 for a hotel in Eden Prairie, walking a mile and a half to work, all because American Musical Supply would not rent me a car for 1 or 2 weeks. So I could go out with the money I had and go out and buy a car that was better.
Yeah, he just wanted them to insure and possibly provide a car for him apropos of nothing. Like, just give it to me. Give it to me. I need it. I want it. And you should definitely cough it up. But they couldn't do it. And it was like a real, like, it's a real, shot across his bow. It was a diss.
Better than the one I had before. They wouldn't do me that little courtesy, so I had to lose $25,000 in 13 months of my life walking. And I ended up spending all that money I had for a car on the hotel. And then I had to start saving again. And as soon as I get the car, they fire me, and now I've lost the car. All because of their vicious cruelty. They couldn't do something as nice as just rent me a car for a week or two that I was going to pay for. Human monsters.
Hmm.
One benefit of living in the car is that I get to avoid something I had to deal with for 13 months in that hotel, and that I've had to deal with for
Human monsters.
6 weeks in this hotel, which is having my room completely filled with drug smoke all the time, because the Burnsville police don't do anything about people smoking drugs inside these hotels.
Dude, I'm telling you, you just I say breathe it in and mellow out. You need to get fucked up. I think you need a different perspective at this point.
It's lawlessness. If someone lit up a cigarette in there, they would have a SWAT team, they would have the health department, that person would be hauled off to Stillwater Prison if they lit up a cigarette in here. But they can sit there and smoke meth, smoke weed, smoke heroin, they can do anything they want, and they fill the whole place with it, so that I'm stuck breathing that crap.
Come on, I think the cocktail, like all that mixed together, like flowing through the vent over a course of time, I gotta think it's gonna like mellow you out a bit, Paul. Like put you in a bit of a daze. Maybe put a smile on the dial.
Nobody does a thing about it. So for 6 weeks, I've been sitting there breathing that drug smoke. My eyes watering. I can't sleep. Stomach ugh.
Hmm?
The guy upstairs. Remember what made me homeless in the first place?
Oh
Minnesota Nice, passive
no!
aggressive.
Oh, this is gonna be like I couldn't possibly think of a worse scenario now. He's got a noisy neighbor who's probably stomping around. Yeah, this is going to be nightmare mode for Paul.
People who are hiding behind steel or walls, and they inject themselves into your life to hurt you. They pull up in their car and they stare at you and film you and do creepy, weird things from the safety of their car behind a locked door. My neighbors behind the safety of their walls and their locked door, banging and pounding, shaking the whole building, screaming bloody murder all night. The guy upstairs, boom, 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 boom. These are tiny, itty-bitty rooms. There's almost no floor space at all. And yet this jackass has stomped as hard as he can with his feet. Maybe.
Yeah, well, I came to the States once with a few mates. We were going to go see like a concert. I think we went to see WrestleMania in Texas, and we didn't really know anything about anything. We went there on a pretty quick decision, and we ended up in Arlington of all places. And I don't know how we did. It was near the stadium, the AT&T Stadium. And for some reason, we ended up in like a Motel 6, and we were like, "Oh, this is going to be like a little bit, like a bit of fun." But what we quickly learned is like a lot of people who rent the rooms, they don't rent them for a few days. They rent them like ongoing, like more or less as another like form of, it's just a rental essentially. But a lot of them were like obviously a bit impoverished and between permanent residencies, and anyway, it ended up where we were surrounded on all sides by like a Paul nightmare scenario where people were knocking and banging against walls. Like this one dude kept like knocking on the door trying to cop. He thought he was at the dealer's dealer's apartment, but no, it was like 3 up. Anyway, we didn't really know it, but we ended up in a pretty seedy area, and like all night you just hear things popping off, and it was like, oh shit. We were afraid to go out at one point.
Maybe up to 12 hours a day for 6 weeks, or however long he's been there. The first, I think there's been 2 in there. The first ones were loud enough. They did the same thing, basically. This guy who's been here at least the last few weeks has been horrific. Keeps me awake all night. I can have headphones on so loud that it almost makes my ears bleed. It's painful. And I can still hear it, and I can feel it, the bed shaking.
Yeah, the meditative drones. But yeah, I think that's like a thing where that is primarily what a lot of the resistance to doing these hotel stays are about, is these people around him who, they psychologically torture him with all the noise, and he can't stand it because it triggers him thinking about his previous apartment where he was driven out of.
I don't have to deal with that in the car.
Yeah, true.
The other day I went out to take out the trash at 5 in the morning. It's still dark. As I'm walking back, there's a laser gun sight pointed at my chest, following me, tracking me as I'm walking back to the hotel. A laser gun sight.
How do you not know it was a cat toy?
I've used plenty of those laser pointers. I do a lot of teaching and lecturing over my life, This was a laser gun sight. And when I went and I told the manager...
Who the hell are you teaching? Like, you're a teacher now? You're a professor?
The next day. The manager here, who is a total jackass, totally inhospitable. Every time you tell this guy anything or ask him anything, he jumps down your throat. When I ran hotels, this guy would have been given special training and follow-up. And if he didn't clean up his act, he would be looking for another job.
Well, it's probably his motel is now overrun with, like, these service programs where it's like housing homeless and properly illegals, and it's just like wrecking his shit.
As it should be. I can't get a job. This jackass can. I go in and tell him that one of his residents was pointing a laser gun sight at my chest. And all he does is jump down my throat because I didn't call the police at 5 in the morning. Burnsville police, who don't do anything ever about people breaking the law.
Like,
and there's no way to
it's like, why the hell are you telling the manager about this? Like, maybe let him know, but also, like, call the police if you feel like someone's about to gun you down. And he's like, no, I can't call the police for all these bullshit reasons.
Figure out which room it was in anyway. And all he does is jump down my throat. And I wasn't asking him to do anything about it anyway. As a professional courtesy, I was advising him, you may have somebody who is armed and irresponsible in this hotel. And that somebody is the manager you should know. That's why I told him. That was a courtesy for him, and he jumps down my throat. And that's what he's done with every question I've ever had for this guy. I don't need that, especially when I used to run hotels.
Yeah, no, but Paul, you're pedantic and, like, obviously, like, you're really abrasive about dumb shit like there's dust behind this, like, kettle, like, the microwave has a bit of crud in the corner. Like, that's the dumb shit you go on about. So, of course, he doesn't want to hear it.
And that would have been unacceptable. And I don't like having laser gun sights pointed at my chest. Maybe you do. Does that happen to you at home? For homeless people, it's fine. Which Burnsville police officer was going to do anything about that? You tell me. What is their name? Who is the police officer who was going to do one thing about that? Who is it? I'd like to know. This place provides no toilet paper. I have no money. That means I have no toilet paper. Now, the social service comes by once a week and hands us a couple bags of food. That's the only reason I'm eating. It's enough food for about 4 or 5 days, and then I go 1 or 2 days without food until we get more. Often, but not always, they have toilet paper in those bags. Right now, for the last 2 weeks, no. I have no toilet paper. So I'm having to take care of business.
Yeah, it's like another video I made is like a literal choosing beggar or begging chooser. The idea is like, I guess like all the videos I've seen before is like he has multiple lesions and cuts and bruises that bleed, and they pop, these blood blisters that pop, and he's just like got a mountain of tissues next to him, like covered in blood, because he wants to show you it. But I'm thinking like half the time he's wasting it on stuff like that.
With my hands. In a hotel.
Ugh.
When I was in the car, it was exceedingly difficult to get to a bathroom, to be honest. But if I got to a bathroom, there was toilet paper in there. They give you towels when you first check in, and they never clean the towels. You are responsible for laundering those towels. Ongoing. That's their rule at this hotel. Well, you know what? To do the laundry, I have to have money. I haven't had money. I've had 4 empty bank accounts for months. I haven't had $1 of my own from earning or selling something in months. I have no money. I can't use that laundry. And the laundry only allows cards. It doesn't allow money or quarters anyway.
No, do it like my mum used to do in the day. She'd just go over to like the basin, like we'd have a sink, and I guess his other thing, well, if there's soap there enough, scrub it with the soap, wash it, rewash it until it's satisfactory, hang it up next to the radiator, and eventually it will come good. It won't be to a completely sanitized effect, but it will probably do enough to get you by.
And the whole time, my car's just sitting out here getting filthy, the windows clogged up with dirt and filth, and somehow all the fluids disappeared. I don't even know how. I've never had problems with the antifreeze, but the antifreeze is completely empty. I don't know where it went. There's no fluid in the transmission.
Oh, so like now that I'm being made aware that why is this car still in play? It's because it's been moved. He's been able to move it once through like a convoy to like mask it. I don't know what the play was there, but now I guess it's at an apartment complex. He is a resident of the apartment complex for a few months. Thus, they can't tow it, because I always thought like time's up on this car. If it was still at a Walmart, Verizon, Home Depot, one of these mega malls, I'm guessing by now it would have been gone. But now that he's revealed the things he doesn't reveal, like now it makes sense.
There's nothing, and I can't drive this thing, and I have no money to get fluids, and I'm in this hotel. What if I had to leave the hotel? What would I do with this car? That I worked 13 months walking back and forth a mile and a half to work for 13 months to buy this car. The food that they give us. And again, I'm not sitting here looking a gift horse in the mouth. I'm not trying to complain about a blessing.
Why are you complaining? You're not looking a gift horse in the mouth. Yet let me look a gift horse in the mouth.
I am grateful beyond belief for that food. And overall, it's good food. It's a mix of certain things. But almost every one of them, it's either expired food or it's something bizarre. Like, instead of just normal cereal, imagine like Captain Crunch. I could just eat Captain Crunch all day long. But imagine they take Captain Crunch and they like inject a bunch of vanilla goop into it and call it supercharged.
So he's annoyed that he's getting the dollar store version as opposed to the actual like Kellogg's or whatever it is brand.
I can't eat that. It's the texture problem. It just grosses me out to even have that in my mouth. And I'm not trying to complain about the fact that they're giving me food. That's not a problem. It's that the stores that are doing this are basically getting rid of their garbage. Now, I've had a couple things.
You know, like my mum always used to say this dumb thing was like, well, what about the starving children in Africa? And you'd always be like, oh yeah, all right. But like, now I'm coming around to a point of view. What about the fucking starving children in Africa who are literally eating gruel? Like it's a gruel rice pudding thing every day for the rest of their life. It's like, do you want to really do a compare and contrast that actually makes sense, Paul? We'll do it there.
Things that were fantastic. I had a bowl of almonds that were barbecue almonds. My gosh, those things were fantastic. I've had a couple things that were really, really good. And overall, you get a little bit of bread. You know, but again, I'm not here to complain about that because that's a gift, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for it. But again, look at the way we're being treated. We're being treated as the rejects who get the stuff that they were just going to throw away anyway, because the health department won't let them sell it to normal people in the store.
So there's always like a bent to it. There's always like a narrative. It's like, well, the foods, we get decent food, but guess what? They're going to throw it out anyway.
You know, real people. Give it to the homeless. All the beverages. Instead of just getting a beverage, instead of getting a Coca-Cola, you get a Coca-Cola that has pineapple whiskey flavored Coca-Cola or some bizarre thing that I can't drink. Instead of just a bottle of water, it's got to be a bottle of water with some bizarre berry flavor that just makes me gross out. So I have to just pour it down the drain.
What can you say about this guy? Like, just everything. There's an excuse for everything. It's like literally because it's slightly flavored water, he can't handle it. It's slightly goopy Captain Crunch knockoff. He can't handle it. I mean, it's just stacking up at this point. It's becoming like beyond absurd. It's like almost wrapping around from absurdity back to like insanity.
All the weird stuff in these stores that nobody's buying and they're left with excess, so they give it to us. And every week when that person comes by to hand out,
Yeah, where was that face? Like that face you just made. Like, do you feel accomplished? Do you feel righteous and justified? Your indignation, does it feel good, Paul? Like when you're talking this fucking garbage, it's like, yeah, oh yeah, no, I'm right, yeah.
about the food, they meet with various people who are in this program. And I've met with her a couple times, 2-3 times. And the thing is, remember, social services functions like a cult.
All right, Elon, new task for Doge. You cut Paul's services, cut him off completely. I want it completely audited and disrupted.
These people do not understand the situation that we're in. Many of them have been through it themselves. That's the weird thing about cults. Even if you've been through a drug addiction, you can come out of a drug addiction, and it is possible for you to still not be able to empathize with a drug addict. If the way you came out of it was like some cult.
You're worse than a drug addict. Some drug addicts get it together. They can get their life back on track that is going through some bullshit with, Lady H. But you're worse than a drug addict. You can't get it together. Like, you literally will not get it together because you want to play a fucking game. You want to play a game with them.
You lose your humanity. So this person, just what I told Brianna over Christmas when she first pitched the idea of this hotel, and I told her, there's no way I can follow these rules you have. These rules are balls and chains. They are debilitating to me. And I don't care what anybody thinks about that. I care about trying to survive if it's at all possible. But the fact is, I wasn't born to work at Walmart. I didn't go to college for 9
Again, I talked about this in the last video. He references it. Like, Paul, stop looking at my notes. Yeah, he won't work at Walmart. He's too educated. He's too affluent, and there's no way. It's beneath him. There's not a humble bone in this dude's body.
9 years to work at Walmart that I have to take a bus to, and then go sleep in a ditch. That's not what I was brought into this world for.
Ditch.
And your balls and chains only lead me there. So these people are pitching things, food stamps, unemployment, and I try to.
See, I think it underlines a point to me is that I guess if you've ever been through a very deep hardship in your life, and it's really stressful and it's been a tough time, and you feel like your confidence and everything has been, your ego might have been deflated a bit, but you are happy just to have an opportunity to start again. You're on a humble level. The pressure might be off, but you can accept something that's beneath you because you're restarting. You're getting going again, and it might not be the greatest thing to do. Like, it might not be what you want, but there's like a humbleness to you where, like, I'm glad I have it. I'm really thankful that I have this opportunity to start again. Whereas Paul, I don't think that concept is alien. Doesn't work.
I tell them I can't get these things. It's illegal. I don't have an address. If I provide an address, I'm committing a felony. Well, everybody does it. It's like,
Oh, you've got a fucking address now. Use this address. You're temporarily there, but it'll be probably enough to put down on a piece of paper, right?
I don't care. They're breaking the law. They are.
You're breaking the law. You already broke the law multiple times. I had this discussion in the video previously. It's like, this is his core. It's a massive disconnect. Is he will absolutely be dogmatic about this point. Breaking the law. Can't do it. I can't lie. I can't lie to the government. I'll go away for 1,000 years. But, this wrecked car that barely runs and it's like completely unpredictable, and I don't even have insurance for it, I don't have tags, nothing about it is legal. Yeah, that's fine. Why aren't they human beings about it? Like, let me go. It's a complete disconnect. And it's disingenuous. He knows it's disingenuous.
Felons. I'm not. You're asking me to do something that is unethical. And even if, I think with unemployment insurance, they actually changed it. I'm not positive. I think that one was changed so that even without an address, you could get it. The thing is, I don't want money I didn't work to earn.
Already getting it. This hotel does not come for free. You're already getting it whether you like it or not. You've accepted it. You've accepted the terms and conditions. You're in this hotel. Someone is paying for it. You're accepted it, and it's on the taxpayer dime. So, Paul, doesn't make sense.
And what good is money? Yes, I could save my URLs. Well, those are probably gone now. I
Huh?
could do the laundry. I'd have a little bit
Literally work $10, and to re-register it is like $20.
of cash. But for what? To keep me alive in this state of terror and torture a little longer, a couple months longer. Because the fundamental problem can't be fixed. I cannot apply for a job. And they say, well, you're a resident. You've been in a hotel for 30 days. The problem is, I got paper in storage from these Minnesota legislators where I asked them about that. And they clearly stated, no.
Yeah.
Technically, you can use that address, but as soon as you leave the hotel, the address they want basically is an address where they will send a SWAT team to pick you up. That's the purpose of it. It is to track you. It has to be your resident address. You don't.
Yeah, it's just, if this video is telling you anything, and if you are like impartial with Paul, like you're willing to hear him out every single step of the way, everything, like literally from start to finish of this video will be some inane bullshit excuse that is like worse than a child's excuse. Like I think children can come up with a better premise than he does half the time, but it's just, it's repugnant. Like, yeah.
You don't put in a P.O. box. You don't put in some social services address. You don't put in a freaking hotel that is not your residence. And just because Minnesota law has all these contradictory aspects to it, where in some cases they consider 30 days in a place to be a residency, in other places they don't. And what difference does it make? I'm in a hotel that's nowhere near businesses I could work at.
Well, what difference does it make, Paul? Because even if you could register the address, you don't want any of the jobs that are literally on offer for you, like the jobs that you would be accepted in day dot, probably with a little bit of training. You won't accept it anyway, so it is. You already don't want to do it anyway, so it's not really even about that anymore. It's just like core conceit is like, I don't want to work a shit kicker job, which is so weird. Is like you were working a shit kicker job previously.
Even if I worked there, it would be sustenance. It wouldn't be what American Musical Supply was, where I was working toward greatness. I was working to get out of homelessness in a position of power and strength.
Dude, you worked in a call center. How is that any much more below than a Walmart kind of a shelf stocker? Like,
outside of the psycho state of Minnesota. In theory, given enough time, I could have made a lot of money. I could have ended up.
I guess the core difference is maybe at Walmart you might not work overnight, but at AMS he was there overnight making pretty good overtime, double time, and whatever other perks there was. Like I don't know if this, yeah, he got raises like every year, so that would probably be the core difference. Is it was a sweet job. He liked talking about musical equipment. He liked helping people out. And he had all these perks with the facility that he was in, had like showers, the canteen, all this sort of other stuff.
Being wealthy at the end of my life, if they hadn't screwed everything up. If I follow their rules, the best I'm going to get is...
Yeah, all these like dumb meditative drones he did and like produced, he was going to put them on some sort of service or app and they were going to blow up. But he was like 15 years too late. That ship came and went, Paul.
Is, while living in these kinds of conditions, breathing all that drug smoke, having a laser sight on me, a jackass for a manager of this hotel, and social services constantly condemning me for not doing things that I believe are unethical and absolutely don't help me and may very much hurt me. After all that, and taking buses, which I haven't ridden since I was in school, to get to some stupid job.
Have you ever played like a RPG or a video game where you can set your own rules? Like you play a meta game where it's like one hit kill. Like if you die or an enemy like slashes you and your character dies, they're dead. You need to restart. So you impose all your own little laws and rules on yourself as you play this game to make it harder, make the challenge a little bit more difficult. I think this is where Paul's at in his life. Is like I'm gonna like turn up the like degree of difficulty to an extreme, so there's no possible way I can succeed, and I never have to take accountability for anything because the metagame's it's too hard.
That barely pays enough to keep me alive instead of progressing me toward a future worth living. It's no different. It's just prolonging the agony. And the whole time, I'm on the roster of social services, so they keep their jobs and they keep getting their funding. So was this really a benefit to bring me into this hotel where I have to sit down across from somebody who looks at me and talks down to me, somebody who did something with their life, and somebody who knows how to get things done when you can do it, ethically and legally, who isn't afraid of work? I have had statements, what they're doing is they're blaming the victim. The same thing Minnesota always does.
Might be one of his like most ass hanging out videos ever. Like if you were somehow, some way on the fence about Paul, this is clearly one of the best examples of him just like the human essence, like the human embodiment of just ungrateful. just an ungrateful, angry man who's just lost in this world.
The same thing American Musical Supply did when they offered me that fake assistance. We'll help you get an address, which is about 1/10 of what I needed. Doesn't help at all. And I say, forget it. You murdered me. I'm not going to have my murderer help me. Do I look that stupid? Do I look like Charlie Brown? If you want to hold a football for Charlie Brown, that's his business. You're not holding a football for me. I'm not falling for that stupid trick again. You murdered me.
Yeah, they try to present him with an olive branch. It's like, all right, things didn't end up well here. Sorry that, we're parting on these terms. We are going to give you some sort of address that's like registered, acknowledged as a place he can stay. Not a place he lives in, but an address when he goes to get another job for another company and possibly for a competitor to keep that lifestyle going. This address will be legal. But he was like, no, I can't. There's no possible way. My Jeffrey Dahmer cannibal is going to eat me and also try to help me at the same time, like try to show me mercy. Can't have it.
American Musical Supply, don't offer me help. Not fake help, anyway. Just to cover your own asses. Then what do? They come back in writing, because that's all they're doing is covering their asses if they get sued. We understand that you have chosen not to accept any of the assistance we've offered you, which was the whole point of that offer all along, was to document that in case they get sued. It had nothing to do with helping me. It was covering your own ass. And what do? They blame the victim. So you have chosen not to accept this help from the people who murdered you. This is lunacy.
Yeah.
That's what social services is doing here. That's what
it's completely Fruit Loops, Paul.
this person is doing to me, sitting in a chair and very forcefully and intensely talking down to me. So you're declining food stamps. I'm declining food stamps. So you are choosing to blah, blah, blah. This verbiage that they use, this is what happens in a cult. Cults come up with their own esoteric language. And in an environment like that, like human resources, or in this case, social services, this blame the victim verbiage is endemic. It's all over the place. And it shows you, once again, the contempt that they have for us, no matter how much they've even convinced themselves that they care about us.
Yeah, they couldn't possibly have seen him coming. Like, just everything he's about is just so random and outrageous. Like, there's no possible way you could facilitate helping this guy. But they somehow did it. Like, look at him. Look, it just got too cold. I guess this guy, he's just tapped out in the first round. He was like, it got too cold, so he's given up the the ethical crusade is come to an end momentarily. He'll get back up. He'll get back into the car possibly, and if he gets it running again during the warmer months.
That they're trying to help us, they look down on us, even if they went through it themselves, and that's why they got a social service job, because they were homeless. They're assuming that if I only accept food stamps because it's unethical, that I'm just lazy and I don't want to do anything to get help. I don't want to help myself. I'm not trying to get a leg up. No, I don't want to do something unethical, and I don't want to trust the state of Minnesota for whether or not I have food. I want to work for money and buy my own food. That's how I know I'm going to get fed, because whenever you trust the government or social services, they pull the rug out from under you when you least expect it, just like American Musical Supply did. It's getting away from that. Slavery is where you get freedom and autonomy.
Yeah, it's this like Karen mentality is like, it's not so. It's like a Karen mentality to a like near fatal degree, where he wants to be so. His indignation wants to be so righteous that he is like putting himself into a position just because he thinks he has the moral and ethical foundation to argue this, which like 9 times out of 10 is like these faulty premises that, at least I'll go to the grave knowing I was right.
And safety and security. Getting away from that, not diving into it and signing up for all these programs, these balls and chains that will be pulled out from under you when you least expect it. So that you can go on for maybe another year, 2, 3, 5 years, living in this misery, paycheck to paycheck, instead of what I was doing at American Musical Supply, working toward wealth. Wealth! I could have become a millionaire by the time I was 70 if these people hadn't done that.
By the time he's 70. Well, there's no way of that, because American Musical Supply didn't pay that well anyway, but it paid well enough to, keep him content, though he always complained. But the idea is like, I think it was all around these kind of like meditative drone project he had. He thought there was a money spinner in that, and he could like launch all these like interactive apps around it. That was really going to be like, it's going to blow up on the Apple iStore.
That's never going to happen, joining all these ridiculous programs that don't even work through social services. So when I decline them, what do? They insult me, and they turn it around and blame me, and try to make it look like I'm the problem. Meanwhile, what am I doing? I'm doing things like calling up all the members of the Senate Labor Committee to try to get employment well dealt with, to try to get human resources regulated. Why? So that 4 million homeless people don't...
Imagine, yeah, I always say, like, he's the worst. He's all about these causes. He's like a dogged, like, activist, and he's really outgoing and he's passionate about these things, but advocate and be an activist in his own life. He can't even be there for himself, but he's going to rail against the system, and he's going to lead a revolution to get these systems reformed. But personally, he's just like a wreck.
Insult me, and they turn it around and blame me and try to make it look like I'm the problem. Meanwhile, what am I doing? I'm doing things like calling up all the members of the Senate Labor Committee to try to get employment at will dealt with, to try to get human resources.
He sends these emails and they go nowhere. No one reads them. Usually, it declines, sends it back to him, and it's the thing with sending it to Donald Trump and all that. It goes nowhere, but he can say it like with authority, like it means something.
Regulated. Why? So that 4 million homeless people don't get killed by their employers. That's something social services isn't doing. Social services doesn't even comprehend the problem. What I'm doing could save. How? If the government actually did the things I'm asking them to do, and they are responsive, but government moves very, very slowly. It could be years before they do something like regulate human resources, fix them.
Well, keep tweeting Doge, keep tweeting Elon.
Employment at will. But at least I'm getting the ball rolling. I'm doing something productive. That could save a tremendous number of lives over the next 10, 20, 30 years, long after I'm dead. That's what I'm doing with my life, and these people have the audacity to sit with me right next to my computer when I'm doing that on their phone and tell me that I'm the problem. Because I'm not accepting their ball and chain.
You are the problem, Paul. Like, there's no other way to look at it. Like, they do not understand the level of, like, delusion that you're under, and, a certain level of mental illness that you're under, that they're not really understanding the game that you're playing, Paul. They're just trying to help you, but you're like, I am deep on level 99 of this dungeon, and it's getting really intense. They're like, we just want to provide a simple service with no strings attached, really.
For a grown adult. This is lunacy. Only a cult mentality can make people behave that way. This is why I wanted nothing to do with social services all along. I didn't have a choice. I was going to die from freezing in that car, thanks to the police of all people. Another cult. I had everything I needed when I worked for American Musical Supply. I could take care of myself, and I was on my way to success. They killed it. I was attacked. I was mortally attacked. Nobody in social services is grasping trauma. What trauma is. Having your family annihilated.
Yeah, I guess the idea of like, well, why were you fired? Well, I was harassing and trying to mac on this very young girl by sending her like lewd 3D renders. Yeah, it doesn't sound so pearly, does it? It doesn't sound very nice. But it was a moral attack. I'm being lit on fire and a H-bomb shoved down my throat.
They're not grasping it. A crime took place here. I don't need social services. I need victim services. But you have to prosecute.
Well, get fucking Columbo on it. Get him out. Get him out of his grave.
A crime before you can get victim services. And the police are so lazy, they won't prosecute this crime. So I'm just left in limbo with nothing. The kind of trauma I am going through is Holocaust level. I've made that perfectly clear here. And someone who claims to help me comes in every...
One of my favorite lines is he was just talking random shit. And I haven't said it in real life, but I want to say it to someone at some point. It's third world torture on a Holocaust level. That's the kind of pressure I'm under right now at work. Third world torture on a Holocaust level. And I just want to throw that out in the world and see what people say.
Every week I have to sit there and just feel like a little kid who's about to get smacked by his parents. And I have to just sit there and just live in terror of what this lady's going to say. Because the day's going to come when she's going to say, you've got to leave this hotel. You're not doing anything to help yourself. And she said it flat out already. We have other people who are waiting for this room.
Oh no, they're like the social services are now like, oh god, this guy is complete fucking Fruit Loop. He's a nut job. He's a nut bar. What have we got ourselves into? Yeah, no, look, I appreciate what you guys do. I think you do a lot of good in the world. There's probably some bad aspects of the job and probably bad people in it, but if you're helping Paul and trying your best, God bless you.
Room. Well, what's the implication of that? Other people? The implication is more worthy people. Better people than you. People who matter more to us than you do. You think I'm doing nothing sitting here for what I thought was 6 weeks, or what I thought was 3 months, but now it looks like I'm going to be thrown out of here anytime, without any warning. The rug pulled out from under you, when I have no car to live in, and I'm going to have to just go into a ditch and die. Because they don't like the way I'm going about this. Well, tough. I have to go about it the way that is ethical, that I can live with, that is legal, and that works, and doesn't just make me a freaking slave. And if I'm going to have to die anyway, I would rather die after getting the ball rolling with the government toward something that's going to help all these homeless people in the future. Regulating human resources and ending employment at will. What I'm doing, what this homeless guy who has no money is doing, could have a tremendously more impact than all social services in all 50 states combined. And they have the audacity to come into this room and sit across from me and condemn me because I'm not accepting food stamps. Because I won't put that ball and chain on voluntarily. These people, this is the problem with cult mentalities. They can't think straight. They've abdicated their ability to think rationally. Now, for other people, this might be a good thing. For someone who hasn't sought to do anything more than be a stock person at Walmart their whole life, And they didn't do the things what I did with my
Does he watch my videos or what? Dude, come up with your own ideas.
life, and they don't have my talents and skills, then this might help them. But I'm not them. I'm a professional. And in case you haven't seen the pattern, what are they doing here?
All right, everyone, when he says that, and I think he's about to do it, is like you cup your hands out in front of you like you're looking through binoculars and go left to right or right to left, whatever way you want to do it, and then you will see the way he's thinking. You'll see it like clearly, and you're like, actually, Paul was right on that one.
Hey, free hotel. It's a little vague on for how long. I know you kind of thought it was going to be for 3 months, but may not actually be, but it's free. We're going to bring a bag of food. It only handles about 4 or 5 days out of the 7 of a week, but, you know, we're going to bring some food. Sale, but, I mean, we're going to bring some food. You know, hopefully the person putting the gun sight on your chest
What was that thing about looking a gift horse in the mouth?
is going to shoot you. We'll see. But in order to sustain that, you must take what they're offering. They know what's best for me. A grown adult, a 57-year-old professional. They know what's best for me. Working with drug addicts, uneducated people, working with a lot of people who just don't have much to work with from the beginning.
Yeah, it's a lot of what his sister was saying. I think I've made this point before, but it's just like, yeah, stubborn, endlessly stubborn to his own detriment, and he'll do what he wants. And yeah, if they have to like thaw him out of like a Minnesota permafrost one day, you'll know that yeah, he was stubborn to the end.
They're going to apply that standard to me. And it's not that I'm better than anyone else. It's that I'm different. I'm coming from a different place. I want those people to
He different.
get all the help they need as well. They deserve it. They should have it. But they're seeking something different with their lives. I am not seeking just to be alive. I'm seeking to have a life worth living. I have always had a life worth living for 57 years, for 56 years, until American Musical Supply took it away.
I really don't know what he means when he says this. It's like this life worth living. It's anti-life. You have engaged with anti-life. It's this very, very like boring, sad, lonely, and just like endlessly angry and contemptible kind of life you live, Paul. Like this is anti-life. It's like what was The Underground Man by that Russian guy, Dostoevsky? Yeah. Endlessly contemptible.
I don't want to just live and biologically be alive for the next X number of years and then die. I would rather just die now if I can't have a purpose in my existence.
Go ahead.
Social services, balls and chains, take away any opportunity I have to have a purpose in my existence. Who else does that to people? Hey, this is free. Come on in. Once you get into the room and you're warm and you're comfortable and you're accustomed to getting a shower and brushing your teeth and sitting down and pasting some peanut butter on some bread, once you're accustomed to that, then they come in with their forms. Yeah, we got all these programs to offer you here. You're not choosing. You're not deciding.
Oh my God. It's like when I was like 17 or 18. Like in Australia, we have a thing called like New Start through Centrelink. Centrelink is basically your social security service. I used to sign on for it through, I was doing like education at the time, but also like in the process of like moving out of my parents' place. And, you know, it was tough because I didn't have like work at the time. So they would like make you sign up to all these job agencies and they'd hound you and hound you and hound you. They get on your shit. They wouldn't leave you alone. And if you stepped one toe out of line, like you didn't do something they wanted or you were like supposed to do, they'd cut you off. They cut you off like with a snap of their fingers. You get like maybe one warning before, but yeah, they would like quickly cut you off from like any revenue you were getting, which was a pittance, a fucking pittance it was. But yeah, it just like reminds me of that. Is
to decline those. Are you? Do you see who else functions in that manner? Drug dealers.
oh
First one's free,
yeah,
kid.
yeah.
Try it. You like it. Make you feel better.
It all wraps around. I guess it's funny. Hour and 4 later.
Having a bad day? This will help you out. Try it out. Oh, you need some more? You want some more? You like that? Yeah, here you go. You know, I know the first one was free, but this time, I'm a businessman.
An analogy doesn't work because you're refusing nearly everything that the drug dealer is trying to give you. It's trying to give you everything, and it's like, no, I won't have that.
I've got to charge you here. Oh, you don't have enough money for it? Well, do your parents have any silverware or jewelry you could sell, maybe? You know, you're kind of hot. I'll give you this bag if you go to the bedroom with.
See, it's like Paul blindsides you sometimes with like random shit.
I kind of like your kid there. That 12-year-old daughter you got. You want some heroin? You want some cocaine? Why don't you leave me alone with her for a while? We'll see what we can work out. This is how drug dealers function.
I really want to hope that doesn't really actually happen right in his room next to him. Yeah, it is pretty dark. That's a dark thought.
Services. First one's free. Come on in. Get comfortable. Get used to the warmth when it's 30 below zero outside. Get used to it. Get used to the food. Get used to the shower. And then we're going to come along with our 13 pages for you to sign, and you can sign up for all of our programs, which is going to keep us in a job and keep you living a life that isn't worth living. And if you
Well, it's going to keep you on your toes, Paul. They're going to make you get out there and, pound the pavement and knock on a few doors and get your resume out there. But yeah, I'm guessing that is no can do.
decline it, we're going to blame you as being the problem. This is how drug dealers function.
Imagine holding yourself to account. Like, imagine you being like held to a certain standard, Paul, and like, the tax dollars have to go to something. It's not going to go to keep you perpetually like in this motel and being given food. Like, it's got to like turn around at some point. They got to see a return on the investment.
It's sickening, which is why I have said all along, social services needs to be burned to the ground, erased, and rebuilt as an institution that is geared toward success.
Yeah, he wants, I think I said this very early, but he wants basically a one-off payment to whatever they need, whatever you need in your life that you think is adequate to get you on the path to not only living a comfortable living standard, but also success. So in Paul's case, I think he just wants a whole furnished apartment complex with musical equipment, basically reinstate him to the state of living he was in before the dark times. And I'm thinking, all right, what is the cost of that one-off payment? 30, 40, 50 grand? I mean, depending on like, does he get a choice of like picking out the equipment, or is it just, we'll give you everything stock? But that's kind of like his harebrained idea. He might even say it now.
Because this one is only geared toward failure. It's geared toward sustaining itself. It has no clear goals. And it doesn't even put trust in the most competent people.
Yeah, he's outlined it once. So it's not very clear what he actually fucking wants to do, but he outlined this once, and I was like, this is never going to work.
They're trying to help for someone like me to do the very best that is possible with these resources they give me. And instead, they're interfering with my ability to do things like lobby government. Because when I'm sitting there in terror every week that this woman's going to come in here and throw me out of the hotel to my death after giving me 3 months or however 6 weeks in this hotel, again, the carrot on a stick. The way drug dealers work. This is disgusting. I can't function that way. So what good is the hotel? What good is the food if I can't even function? Because the whole time I'm here, they're making me a target. And I have to be terrified of them because now they control my life. Minnesota Storage. Brianna was kind enough to find a church that paid the storage in January.
All right, so there's the benefactor. That's who was paying that bill. What are they paying for essentially? Because he's just kicking the can down the road. I guess what they're paying for is basically maybe he's agreed, or maybe he's alluded to the fact that, all right, I'm going to go for one final run into Minnesota Storage, get all my shit out, clear it out, top to bottom, whatever's left, get it out. So at the very least, I can either A, sell it on, which he doesn't want to, or B, have these items around him, he can at least cherish them and possibly play them to a bad degree, to a bad level. And then that's what they paid for. But something tells me he's not going to do anything about it. And eventually they will, they'll take control of the locker, they'll take control of the contents, and then it's storage wars. And then he will fucking lose his shit at the charity that didn't keep paying for it.
What do I do now?
Get it. Go get your stuff. Go get your shit.
That's all I have left. And all the valuable stuff is gone. What remains, all the things I bought over all these years that were meant to decorate my new home, boxes of
this trash, like tchotchkes, like your grandma has in her like little, plate dresser, like those big IKEA cabinets. It's just like the kind of crap she would throw on there. It's just useless.
Pictures and knickknacks and all these things that have meaning to me because they're
like dancing trout, like, dancing banana.
very special where I found them. They had meaning to me. That's about all that's left. My wardrobe, 200 DVDs from the 2000 I started with, and thousands upon thousands of photographs and slides of families that I bought from storage, from eBay, people who went to storage sales, so that I could set up that plan to try to reunite those families with those pictures.
Just another, I completely forgot about it. Another harebrained scheme. It's, what? What is that? Like, are you going to personally inject yourself in? Like, how do you contact them? First of all, should you contact them? Like, it's personal documentation. Like, maybe they don't want to be contacted by you, Paul. Oh, it's so odd.
which American musicals play annihilated.
So he's gone in there with the idea of like he's going to these garage sales and like actively seeking out memorabilia of other families. Oh my god. Oh my god. Is this, don't tell me I everyone has noticed this but me. When he talks about all the family pictures in storage, is this what he means? So it's not about his family. Are you fucking kidding me right now? So it was never about his family, because I always had it with the understanding, because he usually framed it that way, he usually said it that way, is I've lost all my pictures and family memorabilia. No, I've lost all the memorabilia and family photos, but I'm not going to give you any real context after that. I've lost all the albums of random families that are no way attached to me, but I had some like harebrained business plan for it that probably already exists and is probably well established by now. Yeah, fucking wild, dude. Completely outrageous. Like, new levels of low, Paul. New levels of low. I can never be surprised by this. Like, I'm always like, ooh, that's just another. You're like digging through the bottom of the barrel. There can't be much left.
So it may seem like social services has done amazing.
Please sound off. Can you guys please sound off? Is like, how did you ever interpret him when he said that? When he says things like, I've got family photos that I've lost now. How would you interpret that? Because I never thought it was this. Never.
Amazing things for me. They put you in a hotel when it was freezing cold outside. Yes, you're right, they did. And yes, I'm grateful. And yes, that helped me. It took me out of the cold. I'm grateful. But if it
How many times has he reiterated this point? How grateful are you?
comes with balls and chains and terror and me being blamed and me just being a target for people who don't even know what they're doing, is it really that good of a benefit? Or is it something that instead of me dying 6 weeks ago when it was freezing cold, I'm going to die 6 weeks from now? And in between, I just suffer. What did they do if that's the end result of all this? What did they accomplish? They kept their jobs, is what they accomplished. They kept getting funding that they can kick back into the campaign contribution.
Yeah, I'm still like, all this time I had one, like my mind was trained and focused on one idea of what he actually meant by the family stuff. And it's very possible that's what he actually meant, was I have random photo albums that I've been getting creepily from, flea markets and shit for years. Gone. That's what I lost.
Of these legislators who give them the funding. That's what they accomplished. I am nothing but a pawn in their game. And so are all these other homeless people I talk to. Every one of them says the same thing that I say. Every one of them understands this. It's sickening. In all this time, in the last 6 weeks, who has been nicest to me in a sincere, no strings attached, no judgment way? Who has done that? Is it so?
Like, my mind would go to Brianna. But like, he's going to say himself, I've been the only one who's been nice to me. All right.
Social services? No. Not even close. Is it this hotel manager? No.
Who?
It is the people at a gas station that I have to walk a mile to reach who are kind enough to give me a cup of coffee. Because I ran out of coffee.
What about Brianna? Like, she went above and beyond. You said it yourself, above and beyond. Why is she getting no kudos? Like, I feel like I'm the only one giving her kudos here. I need to find Brianna. I'm going to make it a mission to find that woman.
3 weeks ago. I have no coffee in this hotel. I got a coffee maker sitting there. I have no coffee.
Because there is a possibility she has no idea about this channel. I think he loves to give this channel out. He loves mentioning it to randos. And he will, like, probably annoy them with it. Like, check out my YouTube channel, man. But I don't know if he's given it up to Brianna yet. Maybe he's be quiet about that one.
I have no money to get coffee. Those people have been so kind to me. They're poor people working in a gas...
You used to get coffee. I'm delirious at this point. You used to get coffee and like splash it on his face to do a shave. Why the hell didn't he just ask for hot water and a cup of coffee? Made no sense.
Station. They care about me, sincerely. They don't judge me. And most of them have been through this ring.
Oh. Is this where Milo is at? Is this where, yeah, is like a young alternative girl I think she's got like green hair.
House people dumping trash. I have film of house people using drugs. I have film of house people using the services of prostitutes, urinating in public.
The only thing that makes a difference is the fact that they're housed.
That's it.
Like, the fact that you're unhoused, it has everything to do with how they treat you.
And he has referenced her before, but I never quite couldn't remember who the hell she was, because she's been like very seldomly like shown. But she is young. She is female. She's a little bit more alternative, I thought. I mean, she might actually be like possibly possibly gay, maybe. No interest in Paul, but she hears Paul out, and I guess she gives him a little bit of attention and time out of like kindness. But I always say, like, we'll keep watching this situation.
Or their family members have been through this ringer, and they understand the social service racket. The other person who's been nicest to me is the housekeeper who comes in once a week to clean my room, which doesn't mean much cleaning because I'm a clean person. She's, I presume, Mexican, Spanish. She only speaks Spanish. She really doesn't speak English. We can't communicate at all. But she is such a sweetheart. If I spoke Spanish and I had a life, I would probably want to date her. She's so sweet.
How young is this woman? It's like you're dealing with a puta calbron. Me gusta. Get out of there.
And we just have a great time trying to communicate with each other when we can. And she gives me this big hug that is just so full of warmth and humanity.
Mm.
And I'll take some of that food that I can't eat and give it to her. And she's just such a sweetheart. And I can't even communicate with her. But it's sincere humanity. That hug from her keeps me warmer than this entire hotel does. Because it's sincere affection for another person.
Just a lonely, lonely man, Paul. When like a hug like that like lights him up that hard, it's like you know he's got certain emotions and feelings right now that aren't, oh, what is the dumb thing he says, agape love or agape feelings. Agape is like a common bond, like a kindred spirit, to like put it bluntly.
And when I get booted out of this place with almost no warning, which is what will happen, that's what they always do, I'll never see her again. And I can't communicate with her enough to even tell her what happened. I just disappear. Just like American Musicals fly. All those people I work with, friends, people who kept me warm inside because of the people they were that I worked with, just disappear, locking one door. Compare social services to what the Bible says about a good shepherd. A good shepherd would be a pastor of a church, a priest at the temple. Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. The Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
You know, Jesus would produce he would give the fish to Paul, and Paul would be like, oh, you know what, that's a little bit undersized. I need something a little bit more mature because the meat would be a little bit better. Sorry, Jesus. Could have done a little bit better there, Jesus. Get back on the boat.
I'm going to put
and walk your ass down and get me a trout.
a link to a video in the description here. It's a half-hour documentary from biblical archaeology, and it talks about what the good...
This is what Paul does during his free time. This is what he's doing in the time he's meant to actually be focused on getting a job, but there's no intention of that. That's clear to me, like it's clear as present day. But yeah, it's his YouTube deep dive Nephilim uncovered, and it's like a dumb AI shot of like some giant
shepherd reference that goes throughout the whole Bible means, because it is a manifestation of the greatest commandment. When the Pharisees were trying to trip up Jesus, they're trying to get him to say something wrong they could condemn him for, they asked him, what is the greatest commandment? And he said, the greatest commandment is, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, strength, mind. And likewise, the second is like it, love thy neighbor as thyself. Love God, love other people. It isn't about narcissism, loving yourself. A good shepherd loves other people and leads them to green pastures. And
he has a lot of love for these women who give him a little bit of time and give him a big hug, and possibly hear his tales. Like, she doesn't like the Mexican girl doesn't understand what the fuck he's saying, but like I guess she's like nodding along. But for everyone else, he has just pure disdain. He doesn't love thy neighbor if they're got a swinging meat and potatoes between.
Still watchers, not the kind of overwhelming fear and terror that I
Is that the watches? Oh, I mean, is that like a what do they call it? Is I'm getting really sidetracked now, but it's I want to say the watches are in the Bible. It's not apocrypha.
feel in that room as I'm breathing drug smoke. Got some guy upstairs dropping refrigerators on the floor, and every week I have to worry about.
They're like the angels who came down and kind of like got it on with women, like got it on human females, and then something like that.
Some lady coming in and condemning me, pointing fingers at me, blaming me, and possibly throwing me out of here to my death. Those aren't still waters, and those aren't green pastures. So you tell me, what does this hotel really mean?
All right, that is maybe the worst. Like this is like ass hanging out all the way. You can see his dick and balls at this point. Like if he's really just being completely contemptible in this one. It's new levels of low, and the family portraits and albums thing is just like such a shock because I thought I had that understood, but the way he says it, the way he frames it is just like there's no way I could have thought of that. I wonder if like other people are just like aware of this and just like yeah he said it before and I guess you weren't paying attention, but I'm like, oh, so it wasn't really anything to do. Maybe like some family albums of his has gone like possibly in Californian storage, but I'm guessing it means more or less that he had a business idea that is probably being done and done very well at this point, and the market's effectively closed. But he had the idea of like getting these albums and then reuniting and returning it to families over some sort of business. Crazy. Oh yeah, one of I feel like I say this a lot, but it's one of Paul's worst. Just really revealing about himself and just like this level of complete delusion. And it's just the idea is like people are unfortunately they're wasting their time helping this dude. But what can be done? Like they are probably more God-fearing and Christian people than he'll ever be in a month of Sundays. So yeah, big long video. Sorry guys, but this is a new level of low for Paul. And like, you know, if you were ever on the fence about him, and I don't know how you still could be, you know, watch this video through and want to like possibly do questionable things to him. All right, guys. Till next time. Peace out, and just be good to people. Be the best you can be. Homeless or otherwise, hurting or otherwise. Like, don't be Paul. Don't be this kind of person. All right, guys. Peace out.